The transport ship EOS-9 cut through the pale clouds of Vortex 7 like a silent blade. Its engines hummed softly, too soft, some aliens whispered. A weak ship for a weak species, they said. But inside, Ghost Company stood ready, helmets on, visors down, not moving a muscle. They waited in complete silence as the ship lowered onto a landing pad, surrounded by thousands of alien spectators. Outside, the training world looked harsh and unfriendly red dust. Razor-sharp rock towers and a dim sun that glowed like a dying coal. The air tasted like metal. The sky above the landing pad was filled with raised viewing platforms, each held aloft by anti-grav beams. On those platforms, dozens of alien races gathered, eager to watch what they believed would be a spectacle as EOS-9's landing gear touched the ground. The first wave of laughter rolled across the stadium. The aliens didn't even try to hide it. Some were big. Heavy creatures with thick hides and tusks, members of the Brutox clans who punched each other in amusement, pointing down at the ship like they were watching a circus act. Others were slim, scaled beings from the Rakari Alliance, their forked tongues flickering with mocking hisses. Even the small, childlike Lyrians were clapping and jumping, making exaggerated human walking motions with their short legs to them. Humans were little more than a joke. The ship ramp lowered with a hiss of steam. Ghost Company marched out in perfect formation. No talking. No hesitation. No response to the laughter. The alien crowd only grew louder. A Brutox officer with 4 arms stood at the front of one platform. He lifted a holographic display showing old human war footage, grainy videos from centuries ago, back when Earth was still fighting itself. Explosions, riots, old tanks, human chaos. The Brutox officer laughed so hard he almost fell off the platform. "Behold," he shouted, "the great warriors of Earth, the ones who once fought each other with sticks and fire." The crowd roared. A group of young Rakari cadets leaned over the railing, pointing at the human gear. The humans wore matte gray exo-armor designed for stealth, not show. But the aliens didn't understand that. They only saw simplicity. "Look," one cadet shouted. "Their armor is plain. No glowing shields, no ceremonial spikes. It looks like old metal cans." Another cadet pretended to stomp on an imaginary can while the others howled in laughter. Still, Ghost Company remained stone still. Their boots hit the sand in perfect rhythm. Helmets faced forward. Not one soldier twitched. At the front of the formation walked Captain Mara Briggs. She was tall, calm, and unreadable behind her dark visor. Every movement she made was smooth, almost quiet, as if she didn't want to waste energy on anything but the mission. Her armor bore a single Mark I small white line on the shoulder, signifying command. No decorations. No ornaments. Human soldiers didn't need them. When she stepped onto the main platform, the laughter only grew. Mara lifted her head slightly. She scanned the alien stadium, not with fear, not with anger, but with something far colder. Calculation. She read the terrain as if it were a puzzle. The raised platforms, the wind direction, the positions of alien officers. Even the angle of the sun, nothing escaped her attention. Ghost Company didn't just fight enemies. They studied them. A tall alien diplomat with green crystalline skin stepped forward. His voice echoed through a translator box on his chest. "Welcome, humans," he announced, though the tone held no welcome at all. "You stand on Vortex 7, home of the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Try not to embarrass yourselves too quickly." The aliens behind him burst into fresh laughter. A group of blue-feathered Corians flapped their wings and mimicked human speech in a slow, mocking tone. "Humans cum tu triine." Ghost Company didn't move. A Rakari cadet shouted down. "Do all humans hide their faces because they are ashamed?" Another alien yelled. "Maybe they fear the sun will melt their soft skin." More laughter. Captain Mara Briggs said nothing. Her voice remained inside her helmet as she communicated with her team through encrypted comms. But if the aliens could have heard her, they would have been surprised at how calm she sounded. Maintain discipline, she said simply. The humans formed a straight line on the platform. Every movement was controlled, purposeful, sharp. This unsettled a few aliens in the upper levels, veteran warriors who noticed things others didn't. They whispered to each other, narrowing their eyes. Humans were famous for emotion, for hot tempers, for reacting badly to insults. Yet this group didn't react at all. A silence, thin as a blade, slid across the stadium for a moment, but it was broken by a Brutox commander shouting in amusement. Look at them. They think standing straight will save them in the drill. More laughter. More mockery. Mara scanned the crowd, not in anger, but in assessment. She studied how they moved, where they laughed, what they underestimated. She studied their pride, their arrogance, and the blind spots created by both. Finally, her visor turned toward the arena, toward the place where the live combat drill would begin. Her team waited for her signal. She gave it with only 4 quiet words over the comm. We begin observing now. And just like that, the mood shifted. Not for the aliens. Not yet, but for the humans. The real operation had already started. The laughter still echoed through the alien stadium when a deep metallic horn sounded from the far side of the arena. The noise rolled across the platforms like thunder. The aliens suddenly straightened, their mocking energy shifting into something more serious. Even Ghost Company paused, not out of fear, but because the sound meant one thing: the commanders were arriving. A wide gate at the end of the field opened, and a line of armored Vortex soldiers marched out. Their armor shimmered under the dim sun, glowing with neon blue lines that pulsed like veins. Each soldier carried a massive energy weapon slung across their shoulder, the size of a human child. Dust rose around them as they formed a rigid row facing the humans. Then, the leader stepped forward, Commander Esserl. He was tall, almost 3 meters, with skin like dark stone and glowing red eyes that flickered like burning embers. His armor was heavier than the others, decorated with symbols of battles won and worlds conquered. 2 sharp horns curved from his forehead, and a metal crest rose behind his head like a crown. The alien crowd cheered wildly at his appearance. To them, Oxydol wasn't just a commander. He was a legend of war. He stood with his arms behind his back, staring down at the humans with a slow, cold smile. His voice, amplified by the arena speakers, crackled through the air. So, he said, these are Earth's chosen warriors. The ones who believe they deserve a seat among the great military powers of the galaxy. Whispers rippled across the alien platforms. The audience leaned in, eager to hear more. Oxydol circled Ghost Company slowly, studying them the way a hunter studies prey he believes will be easy to kill. I expected more. Height, he said mockingly. The crowd laughed. Or perhaps more impressive armor. Another wave of laughter. Or at least courage to show your faces. Ghost Company said nothing. Their silence seemed to irritate Oxydol. He stopped in front of Captain Mara Briggs and narrowed his glowing eyes. You do not speak? He asked. Mara's voice came through her helmet communicator, calm and flat. We speak when needed. Oxydol smirked. How convenient. You will not be speaking much once the drill begins. He took a step back, raising an armored hand. A holographic sphere formed above the arena, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the coming battlefield. The image showed jagged canyons, shifting sand dunes, ruined structures, and hidden tunnels. It looked more like a war zone than a training ground. Oxydol pointed at the display. This, he announced, is the field where you will face our challenge. The aliens murmured in excitement. Ghost Company didn't react. You humans claim to be disciplined, skilled, resilient. External continued. Very well. Let us test that claim. The holographic battlefield shifted to show glowing red squares, 10 of them. 10 alien teams, he said proudly. Each one representing the best of their homeworlds. Trained since childhood. Forged in real battle. Another ripple of cheers. And you? Hogswell paused, letting the silence stretch like a blade. Will face all 10 teams alone. Some aliens gasped in pleasure, delighted by the cruelty. Others laughed loudly, certain the humans would be crushed. The Ricari cadets beat their tails against the metal railings, chanting mockingly, "One team. One team. One small human team." But Captain Mara Briggs didn't move. Inside her helmet, she studied the map again, its choke points, elevation changes, and likely ambush zones. She had trained for worse. Ghost Company trained for impossible odds. This challenge, though designed to humiliate them, was nothing new. Exertol continued, enjoying the attention. The rules are simple. You must reach the extraction point at the far end of the field. The alien teams will attempt to stop you. He pointed at the glowing red markers. These teams are allowed full weapon power, full mobility, full use of their technology. He turned to the humans, his voice cold. You, on the other hand, may not harm any alien soldier permanently. Do you understand? You must defeat them using only training rounds. The stadium roared with laughter. To them, it felt like watching prey with tied legs. Mara tilted her head slightly. Understood. Oxytol frowned. He expected anger, fear, maybe even protest, but there was nothing. Ghost Company stood. Like statues, he decided to push harder, to make this more. Interesting, Exetel said with a grin. We have added unpredictable events. Environmental hazards. Randomized traps. And hostile drones. The hologram shifted again. Sections of the battlefield glowed yellow, indicating danger zones. Do not die too quickly, he said mockingly. The galaxy expects an entertaining show. Another wave of jeers and whistles filled the air. The aliens loved the cruelty of 10 elite teams against one small human squad. To them, it was a joke, a show, a guaranteed victory. But among all the noise, Mara finally spoke over the external microphone so the entire stadium could hear. When does the drill begin? The crowd went silent for a moment. Even Exertal blinked, surprised by the calm question. In 1 hour, he said. Use that time to pray to whatever primitive gods your species still believes in. Mara turned slightly to her team. Prep phase, she said calmly. Start mapping. And as Ghost Company began their silent, coordinated preparation, a few aliens in the upper levels felt a strange chill. The humans were not afraid, and that, more than anything, was unsettling. 1 hour passed quickly, but Ghost Company used every second with perfect focus. While aliens joked and placed bets from the viewing platforms, the humans did what they always did, prepare with silent precision. Inside a small staging tent, Captain Mara Briggs stood at the center, a holomap floating above her wrist device. Her team gathered around her, not speaking unless necessary. Movement patterns uploaded, said Sergeant Hawley, tapping commands into his visor. Enemy teams are already spreading out across the field. Good, Mara replied. The more they spread, the easier they fall. Outside, giant metal gates groaned open. The stadium announcers spoke in loud, dramatic alien voices to excite the crowd. The Vortic elite squad enters the battlefield, and the Brutox heavy troopers take the high ridge. Ricari hunters deploy in the shadows. Each alien team appeared on the holomap as glowing red figures moving into their chosen positions. They walked with pride, showing off their weapons, massive cannons, energy bows, plasma shields, jetpacks. Some even waved to the crowd, confident and arrogant. On the opposite side, the humans walked to the starting line without any showmanship. Their armor did not glow. Their weapons did not hum. Their steps made no sound. The aliens saw this and laughed again. "Look at them. Not even trying to impress," shouted a Korean officer. A Brutox soldier smirked. "They don't know they're already dead." But something strange happened when the battlefield countdown began. Ghost Company didn't look tense. They didn't look worried. They didn't even look excited. They looked ready. The final horn blared. The drill began. The landscape was harsh, shifting dunes, broken metal structures from old wars, narrow ravines that twisted like mazes. Alien drones flew overhead, capturing every moment for the crowd. Most of the alien teams surged forward loudly. Their heavy boots shook the ground. Their battle roars filled the air. Their shields crackled with power. But the humans? They vanished the moment the horn sounded. Ghost Company split into micro teams of 2 and 3 and melted into the terrain as if the desert swallowed them. The alien teams froze, confused. Where did they go? A Ricari hunter hissed, sniffing the air. A Brutox trooper stomped angrily. Find them. They must be hiding like children. Weapons activated. Scanners buzzed. Some aliens fired warning shots into the dust. Nothing. The aliens had expected humans to rush forward like amateurs, to panic, to make noise. Instead, they disappeared completely. Commander Exertol watched from the command platform, arms crossed. His face was calm, but his red eyes narrowed with interest. "Do not worry," he said to the officers beside him. "They can hide for a moment, but the real battle will crush them." But he was wrong. The real battle was about to crush the aliens. It started with a single ping on the holomap. Aha! Vortic elite soldier dropped out of the exercise marked as eliminated. The crowd gasped. What? Already? Was it a trap? But no trap was visible on the drone cameras. Then, 5 seconds later, another Vortic fell. Then 2 more. In just 1 minute, an entire Vortic fire team was eliminated. The holomap updated, marking their positions with red X's. The stadium grew strangely quiet. The announcers didn't know what to say. How? How are the humans doing this? One finally stammered. Drone footage replayed in slow motion. The Vortic soldiers walked past a ruined metal wall when something blurred behind them. A shadow, a flicker. 3 silent flashes of light from human training rifles. Not a single human face appeared on camera. Ghost Company was moving like ghosts. On the field, panic began to spread among the alien squads. Ricari hunters scrambled into a circle. Stay together. They cannot take us if we watch every angle. But suddenly, their lights went out. All 5 Ricari visors blinked into darkness at the same time. A global EMP. No, a focused, precise signal hack. In the darkness. They heard nothing but footsteps, soft, calm footsteps. One by one, their elimination lights flashed red. They were out, and none of them even saw the humans. The stadium erupted in chaos. What did they do? They disabled our hunters in seconds. This cannot be possible. But it was happening. Meanwhile, a Brutox heavy unit marched up a dune, weapons ready. They laughed at the other teams failing. Weaklings, one of them growled. We will crush the humans with our bear. Sharp burst sounded. Then another. The Brutox suddenly dropped to his knees as his armor lit up with critical hit. Warnings. 3 more Brutox fell before they even turned around. The last one spun wildly, shouting, "Show yourselves!" Fight me face to a silent, stunned round tapped the side of his helmet. Darkness. He dropped. The drone zoomed in on the sand. There were only footprints. No humans. Just perfect, invisible movement. Back at the command platform, Commander Philno leaned forward slowly. The arrogance had drained from his face, replaced with something colder. Confusion. How are they doing this? An officer whispered. Uxerdol did not answer. His gaze moved to the field, scanning every dune and shadow, searching for the humans, but he couldn't find them. No one could. On the ground, Captain Mara Briggs whispered through her comm, "Phase 1 complete. Move to Phase 2. Her team's replies came in smooth, calm voices. "No casualties. All targets down. Continue to next zone." The alien crowd stared at the holomap in disbelief. In less than 10 minutes, 3 elite alien squads were gone, eliminated without ever seeing a human soldier. And this was only the beginning. The battlefield of Vortex 7 was no longer loud. It was no longer full of confidence and alien pride. A strange, heavy silence settled over the desert, broken only by the distant hum of drone cameras and the crackle of static from frightened alien squads. The stadium above, once booming with laughter, now buzzed with low whispers and confused murmurs. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Human soldiers were not supposed to be doing this. Not to them. Not to the galaxy's strongest forces. On the command platform, Commander Exotal's jaw twitched as he watched the holomap update. Red X's multiplied across the enemy positions. His elite teams trained for years, had fallen in minutes. "They're not fighting," one alien officer whispered in disbelief. "They're erasing teams." Uxerdol didn't respond. His glowing eyes remained locked onto the field. Below, hidden among the dunes, Ghost Company continued moving with cold precision. The Invisible Warriors Sergeant Holly and Specialist Mira crawled across a narrow ridge, barely lifting their heads above the sand. They moved so silently that even the sound-sensitive Ricari would not have heard them. Holly whispered into his comm, "Team Bravo set. No detection. Targets ahead." Mara's reply came instantly. "Hold. Await sync." The humans lay still, blending into the rocks as if they had melted into the dust. A group of Quarian scout soldiers landed nearby using silent wingjets, their feathers shimmering blue beneath the sun. The Quarians were famed for their sharp senses and perfect coordination. The crowd leaned forward. Surely these scouts would perform better than the first teams. But the humans had already studied their movements the moment the Quarians landed. They expected to see a panicked group of humans scrambling away. Instead, the desert looked empty. One Quarian clicked his beak nervously. "Heat signatures?" he asked. Another shook his head. "I detect nothing. They must be using..." But he never finished that sentence. A soft thip echoed across the sand as a training round hit his visor. He collapsed. The others spun around in shock. "Where? Direction? Show yourself, human." But the drones above caught the truth. Ghost Company was not in front of them, not behind them, not on the ridge. They were above. Holly and Mira dropped down from a broken cliff ledge like shadows falling from the sky. Their rifles fired in smooth, controlled bursts. 5 shots, 5 hits. Not a single wasted round. The entire Quarian squad fell in less than 6 seconds. The stadium erupted in stunned gasps. The announcers stuttered, struggling to describe what just happened. How did the humans predict the landing point? Why didn't the Quarians sense them? What kind of training is this? Uxerdol finally spoke, voice low and tense. "They are using synchronized micro-teams. They aren't fighting as individuals. They are fighting as one." The strategy no one expected in a deep ravine on the north side of the map. Mara led the central unit. Ghost Company Alpha. "We moved to Point Echo," Mara ordered. 3 soldiers moved instantly, slipping between rocks. 2 others scanned the ridges above with tiny sensor drones that flew silently beside them. Ghost Company didn't communicate loudly. They didn't shout commands like the alien teams. The humans used short-coded pulses, barely audible. Clicks and tight electromagnetic burst signals too tiny for the alien. Scanners to detect dot. This was one of humanity's greatest secrets. They didn't just train bodies. They trained minds. For years, Earth soldiers had practiced stacked cognition, a system where every soldier understood what the others would do without speaking. It made their reactions instant, predictable only to each other, unpredictable to everyone else. Sergeant Hawley whispered to Myra as they regrouped. "They still think we fight like them," he said. Myra nodded. "That's their weakness." The alien confusion grows. The remaining alien squads were now on full alert. Heavy Brutox gunners crouched behind shield generators. Rakari snipers waited in tall dunes. Corian scouts flew in tight circles, scanning for heat or movement. But no matter how hard they searched, they found nothing. Commander Exertal growled in frustration. They are too coordinated. No species moves like this. His second-in-command hesitated. "Sir, should we call in reinforcements?" Exertal glared at him. "Reinforcements? Against humans? Do not insult me." But deep inside, the commander felt something he had not felt in decades. Call on uncertainty. Ghost Company makes its move down on the field. Mara raised a fist. Every human froze. Her voice came through the calmly. "Second wave. Overwatch positions. Now." 5 soldiers split to the high dunes. 3 more slid under a twisted metal structure. 2 set up a triangulation grid. It was as if each human already knew where the others would be before the orders came. Their movement looked almost like choreography. Then the aliens finally saw it. Not the humans, but the effect of their strategy. A Rakari sniper fired at a ridge, thinking he saw motion. The shot hit nothing, but the moment he fired, 3 humans struck his position from 3 different angles. The sniper and his partner both fell instantly. Alien spectators watched in disbelief. They are predicting us. They know every angle. They know where we will move before we move. Up above, Exertal's hands tightened around the metal railing. "This," he muttered. "This is not normal human behavior." He was right. Humanity had brought something to the galaxy no other species had. The art of perfect coordination under pressure. The art of turning fear into focus. The art of becoming invisible while standing right in front of the enemy. The aliens expected chaos from the primitive apes. Instead, they saw something terrifying. Colon order. The battlefield was shifting. The galaxy was starting to understand, and this realization hit the aliens like a cold blade. Humans weren't just surviving the drill. They were dominating it. The first crack of distant energy fire echoed across the canyons. Sharp, electric, alien. The sound made several young alien cadets jump in their seats. But down on the canyon floor, Ghost Company didn't even flinch. They moved with quiet focus, their armor darkened with dust, their faces hidden by matte tactical visors. Captain Mara Briggs raised one hand, signaling her squad to halt. No words. No panic. Just discipline. Above them, the aliens of Arctic 7 watched from the hovering platforms, whispering nervously. "The hunters are closing in," one reptilian Vorth hissed. "The humans will break soon." They always break. Except the humans did not break. They hunted back. Sergeant Hawley scanned the rocky ridgeline. Movement, 30 meters. Tri-signal. They're trying to flank. Captain Briggs tapped her come. Team 1, shift left. Team 2, shadow the ridge. No shots. Stay hidden. She didn't want to fire. Not yet. She wanted the aliens to see something far more powerful than weapons. She wanted them to see restraint. Ghost Company spread out like smoke, quiet, controlled, flowing around obstacles rather than pushing through them. One by one, they reached cover points that the alien hunters thought were invisible. But humans had been fighting in jungles, deserts, mountains, and cities for thousands of years. They learned to read shadows like words. A shard of blue light flashed overhead. The hunters had fired a scanning beam. Private Wren ducked as it passed. They're sweeping for movement. Their tech is insane, Captain. It's not better, Briggs said calmly. Just different. Wren swallowed. Yes, ma'am. Moments later, a roar shook the canyon. A hulking alien beast crashed through the upper rocks, its body reinforced with armor plates. The hunters rode on its back, gripping spears and shock rifles. The creature let out a bellow so loud some alien cadets covered their ears. On the command platform, a Zyran officer smirked. Let us see how long humans can hide now. The canyon fell silent, the beast sniffing the air. Sniff. Growled at it began to charge toward Ghost Company's last known position. Steady. Briggs whispered. The ground trembled. Dust clouds rose. The aliens watching from above leaned forward, sensing a victory. The hunters stood proud, ready to humiliate their guests. Captain, Hale muttered. If it gets too close, we'll have to fire. That thing could crush us. Not yet. Briggs watched the beast charge in a straight line, predictable. Simple, loud. Finally, when it was seconds away from impact, she gave a new order. Ghost Company, Phase Delta. No one questioned her. The humans moved, but they didn't scatter. They didn't fight. They shifted all at once into a single tight formation. Every alien in the arena looked confused. One Zyran whispered, "Why would they bunch together? The beast will crush them faster." Another answered, "Humans do not understand tactics." Then something unbelievable happened. Ghost Company lifted a compact device, small, gray, and easy to miss. Briggs tapped its side twice. A soft hum filled the air. The beast charged. Harder. The aliens leaned closer. The hunters cheered. Then the ground beneath the humans shimmered like a mirage. Ghost Company vanished. The beast to spot where they had been standing and found nothing. It skidded, confused, roaring as it clawed at empty dirt. On the command platform, alien officers rose from their seats, shocked. Impossible. One shouted, "They teleported." Another cried, but no. Teleportation was not part of humanity's equipment. What they used was far simpler and far more terrifying. Ghost Company reappeared behind the beast, emerging from a shimmering heat distortion. Their device wasn't teleportation. It was a localized cloaking projector, designed not to hide them perfectly, but to break the enemy's sense of distance and direction. A trick. A distraction. A soldier's magic. "Hold position," Briggs ordered. "Let the hunters come to us." The hunters, hearing the beast's confusion, spun around only to find humans where they least expected them. One hunter fired in panic, shooting straight into the air. Another stumbled backward, dropping his spear. Ghost Company didn't fire back. They didn't need to. Their silence was louder than any weapon. High above, the alien cadets who once laughed now leaned over the railing, fear and awe painted on their faces. They outmaneuvered a bonded battle beast. They tricked the hunters. They didn't even attack. Captain Briggs finally spoke over the comm, her voice steady as stone. "Team leaders, make sure they see everything. Let them watch. Let them learn." Hale chuckled under his breath. "Yes, ma'am." Giving them a show. The beast roared again, trying to choose a target. But Ghost Company moved in a slow, deliberate circle, guiding it without violence, without fear. They shifted it away from the hunters, using small sonic pings only the creature could hear. A nudge. A whisper. A dance of control. The audience had never seen humans fight like this. Not with brute force, with strategy, with mental discipline. With experience carved from thousands of years of battlefields. One young alien cadet finally whispered the words many were thinking. "Humans aren't primitive. Another added, "They're dangerous." And on the command platform, the alien general narrowed his eyes. "Yes," he murmured. "Very dangerous." Below, Ghost Company continued their silent maneuvers. The canyon had become their classroom, and the galaxy was beginning to learn its first real lesson. Humans do not need the best weapons to win. They just need a reason. The canyon air trembled with tension. Dust drifted in slow, weightless spirals. The alien beast, massive, armored, and furious, let out another bellow that echoed through every ridge of Vortex 7's training ground. But Ghost Company didn't panic. They moved like shadows, steady and precise, their formation tightening around Captain Mara Briggs. For the first time since the exercise began, the aliens watching from above were silent. No more laughter. No more insults. No more mocking Earth's primitive soldiers. Now there was only curiosity and fear. On the command platform, the Vortic general leaned forward, arms crossed. His reptilian eyes narrowed, studying the humans with a new seriousness. His voice rumbled low. "They are not reacting like prey." Beside him, a younger officer swallowed nervously. They shouldn't be this calm." "They are planning," the general replied. "And that should worry every species in this arena." Down below, Briggs surveyed the shifting rocks along the canyon wall. She wasn't looking at the beast. She was looking at the Hunter's elite alien soldiers, trained to dominate every battlefield the galaxy offered. They weren't laughing anymore. They were sweating. "They're repositioning," Sergeant Hollow whispered, adjusting his visor. "2 squads coming around our right flank." Briggs nodded. "Good. Let them." Private Wren blinked. "Captain, do we want them to flank us?" Briggs didn't smile, but the corners of her eyes tightened. "We're not being hunted, Private. We're guiding them. There's a difference." A sudden energy blast slammed into the canyon floor, sending up a shock wave of dirt. The Hunters had decided to escalate. A chorus of alien voices erupted from the platforms above. "They're trapping the humans. Now they'll see real tactics. Crush them. Crush the Earth soldiers." The beast roared again, smashing its claws into the rock as its handlers barked commands. The air filled with blue lightning whips alien signals meant to drive the creature forward. "Brace," Briggs ordered. Not a single human moved from their formation. The beast charged. The Hunters advanced. The canyon shook. At the very last second, Briggs raised her fist. Ghost Company wedge formation. Phase Omega. The humans shifted instantly. From above, it looked like nothing. But to trained soldiers, it was a death sentence for the Hunters. The humans weren't running. They weren't hiding. They were shaping the battlefield. "Push left," Briggs commanded. The formation swung sharply, forcing the beast sideways straight into the path of its own hunters. The creature barreled into them with unstoppable force, knocking riders off its back and scattering soldiers across the canyon floor. Gasps exploded from the audience platforms. They tricked the beast. No, they redirected it. That move wasn't luck. It was intentional. One alien cadet whispered, horrified. "They're controlling the entire fight." Holly used the chaos to slip behind a fallen boulder. Hunters confused. "Captain, we've got an opening. Should we strike?" Briggs shook her head. "No shots." "Not yet, but we can end this." "That's not the point of today," she replied. "Today is a lesson." She looked toward the raised platforms. For them. The beast stumbled to its feet, furious and disoriented. It swung its head, unable to pick a target. Its armored tail smashed into rock, sending fragments flying. The canyon floor rumbled like thunder. Ghost Company held their ground. Sergeant Hawley watched Briggs closely. "What are you thinking?" "That this creature is strong," she said softly. but it's led by fear. Then she pointed at the hunters. And they are led by pride. She clicked her comm. All units maintain non-lethal stance. We show them superiority without firing a single shot. Ren sounded stunned. Ma'am, you mean we beat an entire alien hunting squad with no weapons? We beat them, Briggs said, with discipline. Up above, the Vortic general exhaled sharply. What is she doing now? A junior officer asked. The general's jaw tightened. She is refusing to escalate. She is proving a point. Which point? The general's voice was grave. That humans do not fear us, even when surrounded. Down below, the hunters were grouped shakily, forming a defensive circle around their beast. Their leader, a tall, armored Krith warrior, raised his spear and barked an order. The beast lunged again, but this time, Ghost Company moved first. Briggs launched a flare round into the sky, not a weapon, but a signal. It burst into a white star, lighting up every shadow. The humans surged forward, not to attack, but to reposition with breathtaking speed. They moved around the beast in a spiraling pattern that the aliens had never seen before. A maneuver ancient on Earth. A maneuver taught in human academies for over a century. A compression spiral, designed not to kill the target, but to contain it. The beast roared, thrashing harder, but the humans kept their distance, tightening the invisible circle with every step. They're hurting it. An alien shouted. No, controlling it. Impossible. Those creatures are untrainable. But the humans were not training the beast. They were overwhelming the hunters with strategy. As the beast grew more agitated, it became harder for the hunters to command it. Their signals clashed. Their formation broke. Their fear grew. And Ghost Company kept closing the circle. Step by step. Breath by breath. Clockwork precision. Finally, the hunters could no longer maintain control. Their leaders stumbled back, shouting, Fall back! Fall back! It's going wild. The beast roared so loudly the entire arena vibrated. But there was no target left. Ghost Company had guided it into an open patch of rock containment without violence. The humans stood still, calm, silent. Above them, shock rippled through the alien audience. They defeated the hunters with nothing but movement, with no fatal blows, with no weapons. And the Vortic general whispered the words no one wanted to say aloud. Humans fight like they were born for war. Down in the canyon, Captain Briggs finally lowered her weapon. Hold position, she said. They're not done watching. Because she knew something the aliens didn't. This was only the turning point. The real lesson, the one the galaxy would never forget, was coming next. Silence fell across the canyon thick, heavy and unnatural. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. Ghost Company stood in a calm perimeter around the beast they had just contained without firing a single round. Their armor was dusty, their visors dim, their posture steady. Above them, thousands of alien eyes stared down in disbelief. The cadets who once laughed were now pale and trembling. The officers who mocked Earth as a primitive world now leaned against railings as if the ground beneath them had shifted, because it had. Their understanding of humans had shattered. On the highest command platform, General Korth of the Vortic Alliance exhaled through his fangs. His scaled face twitched with something his people rarely felt, uncertainty. They should not have won that engagement, he said quietly. A junior officer stammered. Sir, they didn't even engage. Yes. The general's tail flicked in agitation. And that is what makes them dangerous. Down below, Captain Mara Briggs slowly raised her hand. The silent signal instantly reshaped Ghost Company. Every soldier turned, attention snapping not to the beast, but to the hunters regrouping near the northern ridge. Their armor was dented, their formation sloppy, their breathing heavy from panic and humiliation. They weren't fierce anymore. They looked almost small. "Captain," Sergeant Hawley said, "the hunters are preparing another charge." Briggs nodded. "They have to. Their pride won't let them stand down." Private Wren muttered, "Can't blame them. Getting outsmarted in front of the whole galaxy. That's rough." "Which is why," Briggs replied, "we don't humiliate them further." Hawley frowned. "Ma'am?" Briggs pointed to the canyon walls, specifically to the jagged rock shelves looming above the hunters. "What's rule one of any battlefield?" She asked. Hawley didn't hesitate. "Use the environment." "Exactly." Her visor glinted. "We're ending this. Clean. Controlled. No casualties. And the galaxy will understand exactly who they're dealing with." A deep rumble vibrated through the canyon. The hunters were driving the beast again, harder this time, using electric prods and sonic orders. They were desperate now. They needed a victory, something to restore their honor. But desperation, Briggs knew, wasn't strategy. "Ghost Company," she said into the comm. "Initiate phase final." Her soldiers moved in perfect formation. Not toward the beast, not toward the hunters. But toward the walls, the alien. Commentators above were confused. What are the humans doing? Why are they climbing? Are they retreating? They're running. They must be scared now. General Korth said nothing. He knew better. Ghost Company scaled the canyon walls with magnetic grips and microspike boots, moving with speed that the alien cadets didn't believe at first. A Vortex student gasped. "They are climbing faster than our soldiers." Another whispered, "How can such a young species be so efficient?" As the humans reached higher ground, the hunters below pushed the beast forward in a reckless charge, screaming war cries, firing shock rifles into the air, whipping themselves into a frenzy. "They think we're fleeing," Wren said. "Let them think it," Briggs replied. She reached the highest ledge, an elevated plateau of solid stone. Her vantage point overlooked the entire canyon. Dust rose around her boots. The alien beast below roared up at her, confused, searching for its target. Hawley climbed up beside her. "Captain, you planning what I think you're planning?" "Yes," she said. "A demonstration. Something simple." She crouched, placing her gloved hand on the stone. Humans didn't always win with strength. Sometimes they won with knowledge. And Ghost Company knew the terrain better than the aliens realized. A tremor shook the plateau. Hawley suddenly grinned. "Nice. You spotted the fault line." "Of course I did," Briggs said. Under their boots, the rock was naturally fractured, unstable from centuries of wind erosion and seismic shifts. "It wouldn't take much." "Det charge?" Hawley asked. "One." Briggs tossed him a small cylindrical device, barely the size of a thumb. He set it gently under a rock spire. A simple charge. Low yield. Controlled. Ghost Company didn't believe in overkill. They believed in precision. Below, the hunters prepared for their final attack. They fanned out in aggressive formation, shock rifles raised. The beast snorting steam as it stomped the ground. "They really think they've cornered us," Wren said softly. Briggs lifted her arm. "All units, ready." Her soldiers crouched on ridges, perched like silent predators above their prey. The alien cadets watching from the platforms leaned over the railings. Thousands held their breath. A single human captain would decide the next moment. Briggs lowered her arm. "Do it." The detonation wasn't loud. It was a pop. Barely a crack, but the plateau responded like thunder. A massive shelf of rock, hundreds of tons, broke free in a sweeping arc, collapsing downward in a controlled slide. Dust exploded into the air like a desert storm. The aliens screamed. "The humans caused a landslide. They're crushing the hunters. Call the safety drones." But as the dust cleared, something shocking became visible. Landslide flowed around the hunters. Not a single one was hit. Not a single alien was hurt. But the beast, the massive armored creature, was now trapped behind the fallen rock, sealed in a natural stone cage. It kicked and roared, unable to reach the hunters, unable to reach Ghost Company, unable to fight at all. The canyon had become silent again. Briggs stood tall on the ridge. "No weapons," she said. "No casualties. No unnecessary violence." She tapped her visor, and the entire battlefield is now under human control. Up above, the alien audience froze. The cadets stared in awe. Officers stiffened. Commentators were speechless. General Corse's eyes widened, his voice barely a whisper. "By the stars, they didn't defeat the hunters." He looked at Briggs as she surveyed the canyon like a veteran general. They defeated the battlefield itself. One of his junior officers swallowed hard. "What does that mean?" "Sir?" The general clenched his fists. "It means every species in this galaxy has made a terrible mistake." He nodded toward the humans below, who were now descending the canyon walls with calm. "Disciplined precision? We thought humans were primitive. We thought they were weak. We thought they were inexperienced." He exhaled slowly, the truth finally settling in. "But what we saw today," his voice grew low, "was an apex predator." And down in the canyon, Captain Mara Briggs gave a final order. "Ghost Company, prepare for the final phase." Because Part 8 wasn't just the end of the exercise. It was the moment. Humanity proved why the galaxy should stop. Laughing, the dust of Vortex 7's canyon slowly settled. But the tension remained thick. Ghost Company moved silently, descending from the ridges to the center of the battlefield. Their boots barely made a sound on the rocky floor. Captain Mara Briggs paused, scanning the area. Below, the alien beast struggled against the pile of rock that trapped it. The elite hunters who had once roared with confidence now hovered near the edges, confused, humiliated, and utterly unsure of what to do next. The audience above was no longer cheering. They were whispering, murmuring to each other in disbelief. Many cadets had their claws over their mouths. Some older officers stared at the humans as though they were watching gods walk among mortals. The silent Lesson Briggs tapped her visor, sending a signal to all Ghost Company units. "Final phase," she said softly. "Observe, don't destroy. Show them what humans are capable of without killing." The soldiers shifted into formation, a perfect rectangle, disciplined, unflinching, projecting calm authority across the battlefield. Every movement was synchronized, every gesture purposeful. The aliens below were watching, still expecting some dramatic display of violence. They were wrong this time. The humans didn't need weapons. The psychological strike. Captain Briggs raised a hand, signaling the beast and hunters to freeze. Not with force, but with presence. Every human in the formation radiated control, silent, confident, disciplined control. The hunters moved instinctively toward the humans, expecting confrontation. But each step they took seemed wrong. Their confidence faltered. Their elite drills were meaningless against soldiers who moved as one mind, one entity. The beast growled, thrashing, yet it could not break free from its natural cage. Its handlers tried to command it, but even the creature's instincts seemed confused by the human's calm dominance. "Phase echo," Briggs whispered. Ghost Company split into micro-teams, moving deliberately around the trapped beast and the surrounding hunters. They didn't attack. They simply guided, shifted, and repositioned, not through weapons, but through strategy, timing, and the uncanny human ability to control chaos. Every alien soldier now realized the same terrifying truth. They were outmatched not because humans had superior strength or alien technology, but because humans understood war differently. The apex predators, a Rakari cadet, pale and trembling, whispered to his neighbor, They They control everything around them. Every movement, every option. How can a primitive species do this? A Zyran officer muttered under his breath. Not primitive. Perfect. Predators. Above, Commander Exerdal clenched his fists. His eyes burned with rage and disbelief. He had seen thousands of elite forces fall in countless battles across the galaxy, but never like this. Humans didn't just fight. Humans mastered the battlefield itself. Briggs looked across the canyon, her visor reflecting sunlight off the dust. Every soldier in Ghost Company mirrored her calm. They're not just winning, whispered Holly. They're teaching. Exactly, Briggs said. And the galaxy is learning. The final statement, Briggs tapped her cum once more. Ghost Company, converge at the center. Formation Bravo, stand tall. The soldiers obeyed instantly. They formed a perfect square in the canyon's center. Their weapons were lowered. Their armor dusty but unbroken. No sound came from them. Only the unshakable presence of calm control. Above. The aliens had no words. The elite hunters looked like children in front of their masters. The beast snorted and pawed at the rocks, but even it seemed to sense it was powerless. And then Briggs raised her hand. Slowly. A gesture as simple as a signal. The humans did not strike. They did not fire. They only stood. And in that moment, the canyon and the platforms above felt the true weight of humanity. The awe of the galaxy commander. Oxerdal finally spoke. His voice low, heavy with a mix of anger and respect. They are more than soldiers. They are? He paused, searching for words. They are the apex predators of the battlefield. The cadets stopped laughing entirely. Every alien, regardless of species, had seen something they would never forget. A small squad of humans had faced 10 elite alien teams, controlled an impossible battlefield, and done it all without killing a single enemy unnecessarily. That was a lesson in discipline, intelligence, and courage. The galaxy had learned something crucial that day. Never underestimate humanity. The departure captain Mara Briggs signaled Ghost Company to move toward the extraction point. Slowly, the soldiers began walking, leaving behind the trapped beast, the stunned hunters, and a canyon that would forever remember their presence. The alien audience remained frozen. Drones hovered in the air, recording every moment. The laughter, the arrogance, the mockery, it was gone. Only reverence remained. As the humans reached the gates and disappeared into the waiting dropships. One alien cadet muttered quietly, They didn't just win. They rewrote what we thought was possible. Briggs looked back once from the airlock of the dropship. No words. No taunt. Just the quiet certainty of a species that had once been underestimated and had proven that Earth was not to be mocked. The galaxy would remember the lesson for centuries. Humans do not fight like others. Humans fight like they are unstoppable. And in that moment, the legend of Ghost Company was born.